biology lesson for SHS, and this is the third lesson that we are going to have, and this is a continuation of the microscope, the lesson that we had previously. And as well, the lesson is going to be presented by myself, Ahmed Suleiman Anderson Jr., a tutor at Ekumfi TI Ahmedia Senior High School. As you already know, we've already started with the microscope, and we've made mention of the simple microscope. But today, the subtopic, we're still focusing on the types of microscope that we have. As I said earlier on, we have already mentioned the simple microscope and being the optical or the light microscope. So currently we are dealing with the light microscope. So that is the type of we're still looking at the types of microscope. So our focus is still on the light microscope, and we've already mentioned the simple light microscope. But the objectives for today, by the end of the lesson, students should be able to identify the compound light microscope and then state the parts of the compound light microscope. As I said early on, we are still focusing on the light microscope, and we've already touched on the simple microscope. So today we are focusing on the compound light microscope. So at the end of the lesson, you should be able to identify what a compound light microscope is, and then we should be able to know the parts of the microscope. Now, compound microscope. When we say a compound microscope, we are referring to a type of microscope that uses a high power magnification, and the high power magnification is as a result of the combination of compound lenses, and these compound lenses help to increase the size of the object. So a compound microscope, the name compound, is generated from a combination of lenses or a combination of compound lenses to give a high power magnification in order to increase the size of the object under review. Now, we mentioned that a compound light microscope uses a combination of lenses, multiple lenses. So with a compound microscope, you have the objective lens, and then we have the eyepiece lens. Now, each of these lenses has its own magnifying power. For example, the objective lens usually have the magnifying power, or usually have magnification of times 4, times 10, times 40, and times 100. Then likewise, the eyepiece also has its own magnification. So when you combine the lens of the objective, or when you combine the magnification of the objective lens and then that of the eyepiece, you realize that you'll be getting a high magnification. For example, usually the eyepiece lens has a magnification of times 10, and then the objective lens has its magnification ranging from times 4, times 10, times 40, and then times 100. Now, when you combine the eyepiece lens with a magnification of times 10 with the objective lens with a magnification of times 4, then you'll be obtaining a higher magnification of times 40. Likewise, when you combine the magnification of the eyepiece, which is times 10, with the magnification of the objective lens, which is times 10, then you are also going to obtain a high magnification of times 100. Again, when you combine the eyepiece magnification of times 10 with the objective lens magnification of times 40, then you are going to produce a high magnification of times 400. And that is how you are going to view the object. So it means that the object is going to be viewed 40 times, or the magnification of the object will be 40 times. You are going to, the size of the object will be increased either 40 times, 100 times, 400 times, or 1000 times, depending on the magnification of the objective lens and the magnification of the eyepiece lens. So we are going to look at where the eyepiece lens is and where the objective lens is. So high magnification is achieved by using two lenses rather than using a single magnifying lens. While the eyepiece and objective lens create high magnification, the condenser beneath the stage focuses the light directly into the sample under review. We are going to look at what the condenser is in another lesson, but now we are focusing on the compound microscope and then its parts. We will talk about the functions of the various parts in another lesson, but for now we've made mention of the fact that with a compound microscope it combines two lenses in order to achieve a high power magnification. That is the magnification of the objective lens and the magnification of the eyepiece lens. So this is how the compound microscope looks like. So you can see that with a compound microscope you have the eyepiece, and the eyepiece is referred to as the ocular lens. So that is one part of the compound microscope. You see the double lenses in there. Now then you have the frame or the arm. That is where people used to when you want to handle it, you just hold it from there. Then from there you have the coarse adjustment knob. You have the coarse adjustment knob, and then we have the fine adjustment knob. We have the brightness adjustment, we have the base, the light switch, the illumination, we have condenser, mechanical stage, you have the stage, you have the stage clip, you have the objective lenses, the nose piece, the diopter adjustment. So that is a more simplified compound lens. So a compound microscope is what we have here with the system of lenses here. You have the objective lens, the aperture, the stage, the iris diaphragm, the condenser, the coarse focus knob, and the rest. So these are the part of the compound microscope. So we already mentioned the eyepiece, which is also known as the ocular lens, and we've already mentioned the objective lens. So you could see that the two lenses are what the compound microscope uses in achieving a high power magnification in order to view a specimen on the stage. So you take a look at it carefully first. One, we are going to group it into two, but first of all you need to know the various parts that it has. First, we need to know that the compound microscope has the ocular lens, and the ocular lens is up there. And then from the ocular lens we have the diopter adjustment. Then we have the nose piece, the resolving nose piece. Then we have the objective lenses, we have the stage clip, the mechanical stage, the condenser, illumination, base, brightness adjustment, fine adjustment, coarse adjustment, stage control, aperture, and then frame. So these are the various parts of the compound microscope that we have. Now the compound microscope can be categorized into two. We have the optical part and then the non-optical parts. The non-optical part and then the optical part. The non-optical part is the part that uses or that do not use or it's not about light. It is not focused on light, which means that it is the part that has nothing to do with light. And then the optical part of the microscope is the part that has to do with light, either with light adjustment, production of light, or whatever. But the optical means light, so the part that deals with light is known as the optical part, and the part that do not deal with light is known as the non-optical part. So what are the various non-optical parts that we have? We have the base, we have the arm, we have the inclination joint, we have the stage, mechanical stage, the coarse adjustment knob, we have the fine adjustment knob, we have the body tube, and the rest. These are all parts. The clip, they are all non-optical parts of the microscope. So first of all, we need to note that the non-optical part is the part that is not concerned with light. So we have the base, the arm, the inclination joint, the stage, the coarse adjustment knob, the fine adjustment knob, the body tube, and the clip. These are all the non-optical part. Now let's look at the optical part. The optical part includes the diaphragm, it includes the condenser, it includes the light source, it includes the objective lens, then the ocular lens. So these are the optical part. We have the brightness adjustment, we have the illumination. These are all, light source or light reflectors that has to do with light. So we term them as the optical parts of the microscope. We've come to the end of the lesson. So first of all, you need to note that a compound microscope is a type of microscope that combines compound lenses in order to achieve high powered or in order to achieve high magnification. I've made mention of the fact that there are two main parts of a compound microscope. The first one is the optical part and the second one is the non-optical part. The optical part of the compound microscope is the part that is concerned with light, and then the non-optical part is the part of the microscope that is not concerned with light. So in our next lesson, we are going to talk about the various functions of the part of the compound microscope. Have a nice day.